Here to discuss is Sam Romain. He's chairman of Americans for Energy Dominance, and nice enough to rejoin us on these Long Island Airways. Sam, great to have you back. Positive day yesterday. Oil, Brent crude is on just under 100 now. It was about 120 just a couple of days ago. So, the topsy-turviness as far as those markets continue. Welcome aboard, my friend.
Yeah, thanks for having me back. Really appreciate it.
Where do you see this? I mean, is it too tough to kind of pinpoint? Words. Certainly a positive from the president yesterday, stating, "You know what? We're in negotiations again." So, in essence, who knows what today brings? It's just one of those things.
Yeah, I mean, war is complicated, right? And I think my biggest concern is what downstream effects there are going to be on the American people who, a lot of us didn't ask for another war. And there's kind of two positions on this. We don't want forever wars, and we're also going to be ending a forever war. And regardless of your stance on it, my belief, hyper-focused on energy, of course, is that America should be able to project strength abroad without having negative impacts on our energy markets at home. And so while this war could be seen by some as positive and others as negative, at the end of the day, Americans are paying more for energy prices, whether it's at the pump and soon to be at their home. Oil prices moving 15% on a simple Truth Social post or an announcement. Those kind of things concern me. Why is it that America, after so long, is still so dependent on Middle Eastern energy prices? Why is this affecting us so much? That's the question we need to be asking.
Well, here's the other question. Drill, baby, drill, right? I mean, if we have the resources and everything else, and we have the reserves, the strategic reserves right now, are we going full throttle right now as far as being energy independent? We saw that from President Trump's first term. We saw the effects in a very positive way. Currently, where are we at in that whole process?
Yeah, drill, baby, drill is one piece of the puzzle, right? It's actually build, baby, build, too, right? If you think about it, it's oil is a part of energy, but it's not all-encompassing either. Most of the southeastern United States, actually most of the United States, runs on natural gas. Most people don't realize this, but we do not have a strategic natural gas reserve. Now, to your point, in Trump 1, we saw true energy independence. We were consuming our own energy and exporting at the same time. Now, the reason that's not quite the same in Trump 2 is actually primarily at the hands of the Biden administration. When we take productive power plants offline prematurely, without a solution of how to replace that generation, we are going to have to import power from other countries, other sources, or have less to export when markets are high like they are now. Most people don't realize this, but America is actually not as impacted by the Strait of Hormuz directly. We actually don't ship that much through there compared to other countries in Asia and in Europe. Now, because we are an exporter, a net exporter of energy on the global stage, we are certainly selling oil and other energy commodities at elevated prices because other countries are willing to pay for it. That is a good thing for American companies. We are maximizing profit because prices are going up because demand and uncertainty is going up. That also means because we're so tied to these international markets that Americans, too, are paying more. And that's what we need to look at is how do we decouple from these international markets with just raw commodity prices. And the way you do that is by bringing some of this stuff home and diversifying where our energy production actually comes from. If all we do is hyper-focus on oil, we are going to be very tied to the international oil market. Same with LNG, you name it. And so we need to look at what other sources of energy actually exist, depoliticize energy broadly. It's look at nuclear, for example. There are nuclear plants who've been stuck in permitting longer than I've been alive, right? Look at like residential solar. If you have your own home and you own your own roof and you want to be off-grid, you should be allowed to go off-grid. The government shouldn't tell you it's illegal for your home to be off-grid. That's lunacy. And so by diversifying homemade generation, homegrown American-made generation, we no longer have to listen to other foreign regimes dictate our energy prices at home. And at the same time, it'll allow us to export oil commodities or LNG commodities at elevated prices to capture a premium. But energy's gotten so politicized that we're kind of our own worst enemy.
No doubt about it. Sam Romain with us, Chairman of Americans for Energy Dominance. You know, you look at the Middle East, you look at Iran, you look at the Straits of Hormuz, you look at Karg Island, the infrastructure as far as what they have going over there from an oil standpoint, 20% transportation in that corridor, Sam. And right now, Iran is holding its own. Lots of threats here. The president stating, you know what, you got 5 now. It's 4 days to turn it around or else. So in essence, you know, a lot could play out here over the next 96 hours, give or take, as far as that Hormuz and everything else. I still say China, you know, could kind of be a key component in all of these discussions, Sam.
Yeah, China is certainly a key part of this conversation, but Russia too. Look at who benefits from the Iranian war. It's you know, the big beneficiary is actually Russia in a lot of ways. You know, my personal opinion, I think that Trump's extension of kind of the pause on energy assets is to cool the markets a bit. I don't personally see Iran backing down. Even just last night in the middle of the night, there was multiple waves of attacks on Israel and other neighboring countries. They're not going to stop, okay? To them, this has now become a holy war. It probably always was a holy war. I'm not a war expert by any means, but I don't see them backing down, especially when they know that their country is a primary exporter and the Strait of Hormuz controls a lot of energy commodities. But it's not just energy, it's also fertilizer. The Secretary of Agriculture, for example, said that the majority of farmers have not locked in their fertilizer contracts, and most fertilizer actually comes from the Strait of Hormuz. This is a bigger conversation of just reindustrializing America broadly, especially with energy, but really everything. And I say energy because it's the core of everything, right? If we don't have energy at home, we can't manufacture anything. And so we need to be concerned about what the long-term impacts are, and we need to find solutions at home so we can project strength abroad. We do not need a rogue nation having missiles that can reach London with nuclear warheads. We don't want that. And so we should be able to project strength abroad while not being impacted at home at the same time. We are America.
I agree. And, you know, the thing is, I'll give you a final thought on this. You know, it's about energy dominance with this country, with this president's agenda. You know, and I get it. It's not about the prices only, national security at stake, and everything else, but it still comes down to dominance, resources, being able to tap into what we have and everything else. That's how you become less dependent and everything else going on here. So to me, that is still the key. As far as this president and what he should embrace, what he has done in the past, he'll continue to do it without question. Yeah,
energy dominance is the crux of it all. And one thing I want to leave the bigger show with today, I want to remind everyone listening that Americans are the ones who invented nuclear power. Americans are the ones who invented solar, the ability to harness the power of the sun. We are the ones who invented the oil and LNG markets. We are the ones who invented wind power, love it or hate it. These resources, these technologies were invented by Americans and unfortunately offshored to other nations to our detriment. We need to remember, we built this, we made this, we invented this, and it's time we bring this home, and it's time we stop politicizing solar panels because we believe that Beijing is the one who created this. Well, it's our fault we offshored it there. Let's bring it home, and solar's not our enemy. Wind could be hit or miss depending on certain key areas. We need to be looking truly at all of the above energy with the caveat of where it makes sense. For example, I live in Florida. We don't have inland wind, and so wind turbines down here don't make a lot of sense. But there's been a time in my life where I lived up in South Dakota. It is very windy, and wind turbines make a lot of sense there, right? Nuclear, for example, might not make a lot of sense in Florida given our groundwater issues. But solar certainly does. Residential solar certainly does. And when you pair residential solar with a battery on your home, if a hurricane comes through, I still stay online. My well still works. My septic tank still works. Why has energy gotten so politicized that we're loving and hating and picking and choosing what energy should be allowed? We invented all of it. Let's use it logically where it makes the most sense.
Yep, no doubt. We'll see what happens and what this president does. The signals regarding those gas fields over there could be placed right in the crosshairs of military action, including that gas field, was it the South Pars, I think it is, which accounts for about 10% of the world's natural gas reserves, folks. So if you have a military strike there, it could impact global energy beyond belief. The markets, prices at the pump even more so. We know what we're doing right now, around $4. Give it to about $3.89, $3.99 in that range right now on the national scale. We'll see what happens over the next couple of days. Sam Romain, ladies and gentlemen, chairman of Americans for Energy Dominance. We'll keep an eye on things, Sam, and get you back in.